flowers. Sometimes they'll leave letters. Sometimes they'll leave just all kinds of commemorations. I came here one day about a month ago, and someone had put roses, red roses, all the way around, a candle there, and a whole dinner with wine, paying homage to the ancestors. I came back here around 9 years ago. I'm 63 now, so that means if you do the math, I was born in the 50s. That means I was born in segregation. That means that I am that daughter of the soil that drank from colored water fountains about 15 blocks from here. I'm the same daughter of the soil that came back and had a rememory of how we could not eat in these restaurants down here until 1971. We had to stand to a service window, and we had to order our food, and they would bring it to us. And even at 10, I thought, something's wrong with this. Why am I standing at this window? It's cold out here, winter, ordering a hamburger that I can't wait to taste, but I see people inside, warm, drinking coffee, enjoying. So even at 10, I knew something was not, in order. It was segregation. So fast forward 30 years later, I come back. I take a trolley because I had no Black history classes. I had no Black history books. So I take the trolley because the only thing I remember being taught in Savannah is that this was a third entry of where slave ships came in, and that they enslaved us here for 116 years. So I want to take a trolley and find out. I take the trolley and they give me like a minute and a half of information on slavery. 1 minute and a half max. I'm like, wow, you guys just put 116 years in a minute and a half. I don't think so. So I take a walking tour and it got worse. It was like, yeah, we had slavery, but they made a lot of money, and there was comedy. I turned to the lady next to me. Did I just give them $50 to insult my people? Yeah. So then I go to the city and say I'm getting ready to start a tour company, and we started in 2017.
Wow.
And so this 2-block radius walk that we do is called Slaves in the City, and it talks about the urban slaves who lived and worked in Savannah, and we connect them to the plantation. But what I want people to know is that as you take this 2-block walk, you will find 0 markers on slavery, like it never happened. I cannot allow that. We have to tell the story, and we have to push for markers. So we have proposed to have 22 markers along this way, so that if me and the other 3 elders don't feel like coming downtown anymore or can no longer come, we need to have folks to take their families and do self-guided walks about what happened. So our tour in a nutshell talks about from the time they disembarked right there. That's the Georgia Queen. That blue awning right below it needs a marker because that's the geographical location where ships came 3 times a month for 116 years right there and disembarked.
3 times a month?
3 times a month for 116 years, no marker. You do not stop here first. You have to go from West Africa to Lazaretta Creek, which is on the Tybee Island side. So in the international slave trade, you got the triangle from West Africa. Let me just say, it came on into East Africa too, it did. But the bottom line is that from Africa to the Caribbean Basin to here, the triangle was here. So that means you can't bring a European ship with immigrants or a slave ship right here. You have to take them to Lazaretta Creek. So all of those triangle spots had Lazarettas. Lazaretta is the Italian word that means pest house. So you have to take them there first so that anybody that has diseases, they have to quarantine them for a month.
Where?
At Lazaretta Creek.
Wow.
You're under quarantine for a month, and then they bring you to this dock. Not an immigrant ship. No one can come right here. You got to go to Lazaretta. So all of these places along the stop are all Lazarettas. So when you hear the saying, you're up the creek, you guys heard that saying? It comes from Lazaretta Creeks. All the Lazarettas all over the world come from that area where they'll say you up the creek. Because by the time you get to Lazaretta, you are up the creek. Without a paddle. So they bring them here, they inventory them, then they bring them back here. Any slave that's too sickly or too dangerous to be sold, approximately 20 miles before they get to Lazaretta, they dump live bodies into the ocean because they're already insured before they get here, and they can't sell them because they're too sickly or this man's too dangerous. He just tried to overtake this place. No one will buy him. Well, I already got insurance, so let me just dump him in the ocean. And then they come here and disembark So our tour begins here, and we do a 2-block walk, and we tell you everything about what happened from the time they disembarked until the time they were sold. We trace that tracking of what happened to them, step by step. And in the process that the city of Savannah is in denial. So I'm going to show you the slave holding bins that they say are cluster storages after some architectural guy. And I'm saying no. I've gone to Ghana, I've gone to Gambia, I've gone to Gorée Island, I've gone to Benin, I've been to Abidjan, and all 5 of them have the same thing. It looks just like that. They want to say, oh, it's such a beautiful city.
Yes.
It is 2 things. It's a beautiful city, and our ancestors built it.
Yeah.
I need people to know about that.
Yeah.
So I can walk and show you architectural designs from the Ashanti,
Mm.
the Hausa. I can show you the different tribes in terms of their style of building and brick masonry to know they were here, y'all. They built this place. And they knew that no one was coming back for them, so they left their marks all over downtown. The Adinkra marks, oh my goodness, they're in all the ironworks.
No way.
What? The house Mr. Kessler lives in on the corner of Gaston and Bull. It's called the Armstrong House. You guys need to see it before you leave. And he has about 17 Adinkra symbols on the exterior of his house, all over. It's like they just went crazy with it. I don't know whether he ordered it or not, but it's fabulous. I have no idea how many are inside, but every place are the Ashanti Adinkra symbols, you know. And of course there are 4,000 of them, but they're all over. Any ironwork that you see in Savannah downtown, y'all, 99% of them have one or more Adinkra symbols. They left their marks. Maybe for new generations say, hey, I was here.
Yeah.
Right.
I know they're not going to give us any credit, but I built that building. And I built this building. And I built this building. Well, I built it.
I want to ask you a question.
We built America.
Yes. So you
all said
said
and done, you know?
where this is city hall landing, or where is it that they used to dock?
That blue awning right there where that blue little thing is,
Yes.
that is the logistical location where those slave ships disembarked. The slave ships are not 4 levels, they're 3 levels. Bottom level is where the slaves are. The second level
So
is
this
the
is
captain.
this is the ship.
No, that's a Georgia Queen. That's like a replica from Louisiana style. So
Okay.
River Queen goes up and down. But it's about the same size, except the difference in that one and this one is that's 4 levels. The slave ship that would come in here would be 3 levels. It would hold about 400, 450 people. I just read today that the slave ships coming out of East Africa would hold sometimes up to 1,000 people
Wow.
in East Africa. And they would take them to a certain point and trade them off because they knew that some of them were too sickly to make the whole trip.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was an exchange point where this one is not going to make it for another month, so I'll leave them here and you can give me some money right here. Yeah.
And you know, for many of us East Africans, we tried not to believe that our ancestors were enslaved. We always say it happens in the West. We never
No,
say it
East
happened in
Africa
the East.
too.
But in the East, they say when it happened, it was because through the Arab
The
trade.
Portuguese
Yeah.
and the Arabs
Yeah.
are all over East Africa.
Yeah.
They extended that West African territory. They had to get more slaves, so they went into East Africa. That's a fact. Matter of fact, the first place they went was in the Dominique area with them from East Africa. And because the East African tribes went into that area and they tried to kind of like enslave them, it didn't happen. And that Dominique area became Haiti. So those are warriors from the very beginning. They
Yes.
came from East Africa
Uh-huh.
into Haiti.
Wow.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's all one. It's all one. This river was dug by the hands of West African men, shovels, boots on, having to worry about alligators and water moccasins. We dug this river this deep. It was never this deep by its own nature. Now they're getting ready to do 5 more feet in with the super containers.
Wow.
And now it's a $2.5 billion project. So it's no longer slave labor. It's now an opportunity for us to get a little piece of it. You know what I'm saying? That's a big project. You gotta have the right skills. We're talking about oxygen and all kinds of things. So let me see if we can brighten this up for you.
Yeah.
Just want to say, the city of Savannah started in 1733. Oglethorpe from England. He comes here. He says this is going to be a slave-free state, and it lasted till 1748. The project didn't work. Ran them back to England. 1748 is when 350 slaves were purchased by the city of Savannah government, and the government participated in slavery. And I'm going to tell. Now, this is Harper's Weekly magazine out of New York. Check them out. Harper's Weekly was more like the New York Times of today. If there was a sale or a resale of slaves, Harper's Weekly was on the case, and they sent a reporter and an illustrator to document it. So I can't let New York off the hook. They had mass plantations in the South. But in New York, they had people who had those row houses that had 5 and 6 slaves in those houses because they would come down and buy them and go back up. So everybody got a little piece of us.
No doubt.
I say to the young people, Black Lives Matter then and Black Lives Matter now.
That's right.
So much then that they said the only thing more valuable than the actual enslaved is the mapping of the area that came from West Africa. And then, of course, it needs to come on out of there and come on back around East Africa. But it started in this area.
Okay.
If you're going to grow rice, you got to go to Sierra Leone and get the Mende. If you want to grow cotton, you got to go to Senegal. You got to go to Benin. You got to go to Angola. Same thing with rice. I mean, not rice, but cotton, indigo, tobacco, sugarcane, Caribbean Basin. They told me when we went to the Caribbean Basin that the sugarcane plantation lifestyle in the Caribbean Basin was 10 times more harsh than America's slaves. I can't comprehend that because it was so difficult here. Are you saying 10 times? My left and right hemisphere just shuts down. It's like say, I can't. Weeping Time get ready to become a movie, we hope. My friend Ann Bailey is the writer, and I'm hoping that it will become a movie one day, but it talks about the last slave sale in America was held here in Savannah. Nobody knows. 436 men, women, and children were sold 2 days in the rain. March the 2nd and 3rd, 1859, just before the Civil War, by 2 drunken brothers from Boston that owned 2,600 slaves. One brother goes to the other and says, you know, I got a gambling problem and we need to sell some slaves to break this gambling debt. And they sell 426 of 29 of the 436 men, women, and children that had never been sold away from one another. So that means they sold intact families away from one another in the rain. I need that movie. I need people to weep. They said, why do you call it the weeping time? Because God was weeping. They said rain, torrential rain. I checked the weather report. It said torrential rain. I can't imagine. Free men and women of color, 10% were in Savannah. They went over to buy their relatives and they said, no, we want high dollars. So they wouldn't even come married. Here's the agape love part I like, and I want the movie to show it. They said 85% of the 429 people that were sold when slavery was over in 1864, 5 years later, they ran ads in newspapers and found 85% of their loved ones. That's love.
That is
Can't read it right,
That's amazing.
but I'm gonna run this ad.
Wow.
You see my Mary? She had a birthmark on her right arm.
Yeah.
She had 3 children, and I don't know where they went, but they say that Mr. Smith over there in Tennessee brought her. And so we're gonna run an ad in Tennessee. Maybe married somewhere in that same area, and guess what? They found 85%. That's love.
Wow.
Yes, I love it. I love it. These slave ships were built in Europe, but we also have found out that 55% of all slave ships built in Savannah was built by the first Christ Episcopal Church, right around the square. So when the Episcopals come to my face, I tell them about their history. I had 25 South African bishops from South Africa on my tour. I said, are y'all sure y'all got the right tour? I don't change my story, you know. I don't change no truth. And I made a stroll for them, and I showed them their evidence. And one guy out of the 25 jumped up with his outfit on. Everybody else had on shorts and t-shirts, but him, no, that can't be true. I said, I know it's hard. But here's a copy of the scroll of the evidence. Because that's what you do, give them evidence. Yeah. So, this guy, Oleando Akiana, in the history books, he organized the abolitionist movement in Savannah. This is the most important document. I want you to see if you can get a picture of. This is a slave manifest. Have you ever seen one?
No.
Okay, so here's how it happened.
What is a slave manifest?
Let me just tell you, that's like a modern day Excel spreadsheet. And what does a spreadsheet do? A projection, right?
Yes.
Right? Okay, so the slave auctioneer goes over to Lazaretta Creek when they disembark those slaves. He comes with this slave manifest. It's blank. And every person that gets off, he's writing down who's getting off, and he's creating names for them. Give me a beautiful East African name for a woman.
Amina.
Amina. So you're no longer Amina. Now you're Sarah. You'll get your last name when they purchase you. So Sarah looks to be, she looks to be 18. I'm gonna put 18. She's been kidnapped with 2 children. I'm gonna put 2. I'm not gonna list their names. They're just children. And then the next category has a /BR7. I asked the archivist, what is a /BR7 in this line item, and look at these old-fashioned microfilm. And she said slowly to me that is a breeding number. So Sarah has a /BR7.
What does that mean?
That means she's gonna have 7 more.
Wow.
That's my projection. I'm trying to do a projection so I get my money. If I know her tribe, I'm gonna put it here. And if I know her tribe, I'm gonna put her job description. If she comes from Liberia, from the Geechee tribe, she's gonna be a cook. So I can sell her in the city or the plantation. And I'm gonna put it there. I wish they would have gone all the way out, because it was showed you right here in 1821. This is a Savannah document now. In 1821, Sarah sold downtown Savannah, the auction block, which is always our last stop, for $1,500 US. If you do the numbers, how many people are you buying when you buy Sarah for $1,500? How many of you guys? Add them up.
Depending on how much you have.
Well, no, the price is $1,500, but how many people is that person thinking that I'm going to buy for that? How many people I'm getting?
Because you're thinking that in the
Oh,
future,
3.
I'm getting 10.
10.
I'm
Oh,
getting Sarah, the 2 children, and that
this-
breeding number say 7. I'm getting 10 people for $1,500.
$100.
So if I want to have a little farm, I can do that with a 15.
So you the slave master will be the breeder. He's the one who's going to, unfortunately, rape the woman, or what?
Oh, no. There's a brother down here named Chance. And Chance is going to be a blacksmith and a welder, and he's from Ghana. And so he is going to be a blacksmith and a welder, but also Chance got a breeding number. I told the lady, no. Men can't breed, have babies. She said, no, well, Chance got a breeding number. I said, well, what's his breeding number? His breeding number is 10/10. Tell me more. He's going to breed with 10 women on that plantation for the next 10 years.
Oh my God.
And that's how they're going to crossbreed them. In addition, you're talking about going from West Africa to the Caribbean basin and dropping them off in the Grenadas. And crossbreeding, because the Grenadian men are tall, broad-shouldered, long arms, and so they crossbreed those tribes before. Leave them there, babies, and then come back 10 years later. Watch this, and take them out of the Grenada Caribbean basin, the women, the girls. And then they now take them into New Orleans in the fancy market, which is the prostitution ring. Well, now I like those Grenadian men. They're tall and broad, and they're very strong. So now I'm also going to take about 20% of the men from Grenada into North Carolina, because they have buck farms. Y'all check it out. I ain't going to go no further, because it's X-rated. Just men. Buck farms. That's what they did to our people. And that's what they would do. Just have a farm with just men on it, so that other men can go there.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's what they did to our people.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's what they did to our people.